In the hollow where the shadows fall, we gather round, we hear the call. Liquid fire from the mountain's hand burns like truth, but it tastes like sand. Oh, it sure feels right at the end of the day. Drink it up, let the story stay. The creek laughs low, the fire cracks loud. We lose ourselves in a moonlit crowd. So thick it hums and sings, a slow dance wrapped in unseen strings, clear as glass, but it bites like a snake, sharp and cold, every breath we take. Oh, the stars know our sins tonight. Let that burn till the world spins right. The creek laughs low, the fire cracks loud. We lose ourselves in a moonlit crowd. We made it. Not gracefully, not quietly, but honestly, and that counts for something. This year didn't come with a soft landing. It came with nights we cried ourselves to sleep, mornings we got up anyway, and battles nobody clapped for. It took things from us, people, plans, parts of who we used to be, and still, here we are, breathing, standing scarred, but standing. If you're reading this, you survived a year that tried to break you. You carried grief, disappointment, fear, and exhaustion like bricks in your pockets, and you kept walking. That's not weakness. That's strength forged the old-fashioned way, through endurance. So here's to the ones who didn't have a great year but had a real one, the ones who kept going with shaking hands, the ones who learned that growth hurts, healing isn't pretty, and survival is a victory. New year, same heart but wiser, tougher, and harder to kill. We're not starting fresh. We're starting experienced. And that's powerful.
G'day. Thank you for joining me. It feels weird sitting here in the daylight. I hope you enjoyed that. That was kind of a little bit of a hint as to where we're headed today. Welcome, anyway, to The Defence Rests. I'm Jodie. And, yeah, we are going to tackle some triggering conversations and topics in this stream. So viewer discretion is advised. yeah, it's time. It's time. I've been able over the last few days to pin things together and make the puzzle work. And you all need to know how Letcher County has gotten to where it is now. And I'll try and do it in the most in the best way that easy to understand. So, but my main focus really is education, okay? Because knowledge is power. And I think it's my understanding that it's almost become acceptable to be treated terribly, horrifically, because that's how they've always been treated. That's how it's always been. That's how mum was treated. That's how, and I need to just make some observations and to make things clear that it's not your fucking fault. You are not to blame at all, because I've discovered it is a system that has been intricately woven and packaged up. There is not a chance. There's not a hope that you could get out of it at all unscathed. No, it was set up for you to fail. So you need to know that it is not your fault. And I'm pretty much talking directly to I know both men and women have been through the same things. I have not personally spoken to males, although I do know that they exist. But I have spoken to a lot of women. And I'm going to focus on them today, mainly because they encapsulate part of the reason where the focus goes. And I will explain. So let me just get and I'm going to ignore, there's no comments. I turned them off. Maybe I did because I wanted to not be disturbed while I've got some important stuff I need to say, and I need to do it uninterrupted. So maybe I did turn them off. Anyway, I'm going to ignore them to start with anyway. So basically, it's come to my attention in a couple of different ways that there's a need to set the record straight, especially for the women in Kentucky. Those strong, smart, funny, inspiring, beautiful women with broken souls that have opened their hearts to me and trusted me with their stories, and they are horrendous. And it is not my place to tell their story. I'm happy to facilitate it, encourage it, support them to do it, but it needs to be in their words and their powerful words. So I need you to understand that whilst those words may seem shocking, they may seem extreme, but they are real. So we need to make sure that everyone understands how and why those words are so, I don't know, the words escape me, but I've filled the gaps. All right. So I'm here to facilitate their journey, however they want to do that. And when we do our lives together, we tend to go down rabbit holes and we get so caught up in the emotion of everything, which is great. That's part, but we don't address the entire picture. And we need to complete the picture so that they can start to heal properly. Hello, Ron. How are you, sweetheart? So that's my job here. That's what I see as my job, to provide that to them. So I'll facilitate that in any way that I can, so that they have the opportunity to tell their whole story. It doesn't matter how long it takes, but they need to be able to tell it without judgment, without fear of reprisal, and they need to be believed. Simple as that. No questions asked. So this is I'm here to provide some insight and clarification and maybe some perspective to the rest of the world, to explain how they're trying to now claw their ways beneath the clouds of despair that has been Letcher County and surrounds. It's not just Letcher County, but I will focus on that for now. So to explain this level of how we get to this level of corruption and control of every single process, every policy, every procedure, every milestone, everything has been infected by this cancerous rot within the community, and it's been dished out in a nice, neat little package of cruelty. So it's my job. I'm going to provide them with some tools, and hopefully some understanding, some providing what the laws are, what their rights are, and how they can go about starting to address some of the issues, and give them an option, basically, because, as I said, knowledge is power. And today's, as well as me explaining everything, I have provided all of the resources and links in the description box, for every possible form of assistance, advocacy, support, counselling, you name it. I've tried to encompass all of it. I've even included the entire it's a massive 400-page document. So it's the full jurisdiction, the full legislation that they can refer to. And I've also provided external ones as well. So hopefully that is useful. So if you're looking for anything, there is in there, in the description box, a whole heap of links. I am in the process of setting up a private Discord server for them and the victims or survivors. That will be a complete safe space where they can feel free to speak their minds and support one another. It will be, it's a private, as I said, it's a private server, and there is very strict criteria. Well, you don't get in if you're not vetted by Tyre, basically, and Brandy. So you got to get them through them first. So there is no leaks in the gaps. No one else can be in there. And it's a complete safe space, but it will also have all of these resources, and it'll be a perpetual thing. So, it will evolve as new resources are found, and some discarded if they're useless. Everyone can contribute, and it's their own little hub, so to speak. So I am not by any means providing any legal advice. So please don't take that as I'm not a qualified lawyer, but what I am qualified in is giving an opinion based on my own personal knowledge and experience. And it is my opinion without judgment that I'm going to be talking about today. So I've actually turned off the monetization for this stream as well, because there is trigger words, there is controversial topics, and I need them to be out in the open. I need to be able to say the word rape if I want to. I need no censoring. I want us to get real and to say what needs to be said, basically. Hey, sweetheart. Yeah, there's a lot in that I'm observing, but not interacting. But that's okay because I've got stuff I need to say before I forget how to say it properly. I want to get it all out. So, excuse me. All right. So we found ourselves pretty much at a crossroads now. Mickey has brought to light, well, he set a sequence of events in motion that have perpetuated and snowballed and evolved into the discovery of how deep and how stripped of everything that the citizens of Letcher County have been through and are still going through. And I was under the understanding that it went back for 2 generations, but no. It actually goes back over 60 years. Over 60 years. And it dates back to the coal mining industry and the coal boom. So you had a huge amount of income being generated. And then when the coal dried up, it went to nothing. And these people needed to find an alternative source of income, basically. And yeah, they chose you. So Mickey's exposed this now, and that's what I'm saying. We found ourselves at a crossroads now, and it's a chance that may never present itself again. And it's an opportunity to potentially make a real difference. So speaking directly now to those people in Kentucky, the survivors, the fighters, the mothers, the sisters, the daughters, the best friends, the aunts, the confidants, the cellmates, the neighbours, the young, the old, the innocent, the guilty, the right, the wrong, and everything in between. Because all of you are special and unique in your own ways. You all have your own strengths, your own weaknesses, talents and limitations. But among you all runs a common thread. A thread that'll bind you no matter how far you go to escape it. And it runs directly through the heart of the Appalachian folklore and ancestry. And it dumps you kicking and fucking screaming into the bleakness of Letcher County from day dot, from the beginning. It is a rot that has infested the very hearts and souls of a select few who were, whether you see it lucky or unlucky enough, to be born with an entitled surname, basically. You know the families I'm talking about. Bet your bottom dollar. But here's a couple of names for you. The Cooks, the Pauls, the Meads, the Shepherds, to name a few. So they hold the balance of power with everything. And when I say everything, I mean not just the business, but the property beneath it. So every single pharmacy in the county is owned by one person. So every drug that comes into that county goes through that person. That person also owns the contract to the supply of medications to the inmates. Now, last year, the feds came in and were doing searches for Medicaid fraud. This is how they were doing it, my understanding of it. So an inmate in the jail needed medication. They would get charged, the family get charged for a doctor to write a prescription for them. Then the family have to go to the pharmacy, pay for that medication, and then the pharmacy will then also charge Medicaid after being paid already for it. Then the jail also puts their hand out. So they charge what they can from the inmate, they charge for delivery, and you're not guaranteed that you'll even get it, because that jail has turned into not turned into, it is pretty much a holding cell. A holding cell or a torture chamber, one of the two. So you could be arrested for whatever reason, no probable cause, no charges, no arraignment, no indictment, no grand jury. You can sit there for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. No contact with your family, none. Not unless you're a good girl or boy. Not unless you know, that text message that comes through, you want to speak to your husband, maybe you should come on and do the right thing. Take one for the team. It isn't just limited to ankle monitor system. It is systemic. It is everywhere. Everywhere that greed and power can coerce and influence and generate an income, it was generated. And when I say that the jail was, either a holding cell or a torture chamber, so they would lock people into one cell and pepper spray into the entire cell, lock the doors. They would arrange men and women to be locked in the shower room together, so that they'd be entertained and watch them having intercourse for their own enjoyment. They would put a victim of rape who'd been picked up for a drunk driving charge. They would put them in the cell with their rapist, who's been there for however long prior to, just to see what would happen. If they found out that two inmates were having a beef with one another, they'd lock them in the cell together. Just like, you got no idea. The medications, especially the psych meds, they were deemed a luxury item. So you can imagine not only the conditions, the subhuman conditions, along with all the psychological bullshit that you had to put up with. I don't know how they didn't break, and probably most of them did, but like, for me to come in at this point in time because a sheriff shot a judge and then listen to them explain this. I know it sounds so far afield, but it all ties in one way or another, and it blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. So basically, how did they do it? All right. So once the coal mine the mining industry dried up and they didn't have an income, they needed to generate another one. by that time, the gap between the two, the elite and the citizens, was huge, like and still is, and that's what they perpetuate. So what's left in the middle is like a pit. I wrote it down here. Where is it? All right, so what did I write? This is me. I've been up all night because I had to get stuff off my chest. I had to write it down on paper because I couldn't. So that gap between the elite and the poor, and don't you get me wrong, they have controlled them emotionally, financially, physically, psychologically, you name it, they have done it. So the gap in the middle has been filled with this fog of obedience, of it normalizing victimization, of turning a blind eye, to not challenging things. So acceptance, complacency, and it's all been fueled by fear of being punished, by fear of being homeless. So you don't abide by the rules and conditions of what, ever they decide to make as your parole conditions or your treatment plan or whatever. You don't conform, then they will concoct charges. They will manipulate evidence. They will it's just like they will create anything, and that then gives you a record, and then that generates your inability to get a job, your possible inability to find housing. It reinforces their proof that they are in complete control, that you are being coerced, and you've been born into it. You don't realize what's happening in the big picture. You just think this is normal, and no fucking way is this normal. And then they will target your biggest weapon, or their biggest weapon basically is your love for your children. That's where they hit you the hardest. That's where they hammer the nailing. And it all the structure and the reinforcement and the development of that fear is all it's encapsulated in the belly, and I literally mean the belly of the courthouse in that Letcher County Jail, which is basically it's sub floor. So it's the basement. The jail is the basement of the courthouse. No light, no clean water, sewage running through whenever. Horrendous, absolutely horrendous conditions. And that's where I think they instill the fear, because you see it firsthand of how they can just play you like a puppet. Play you like a fucking puppet. That's where they really taught you your lesson. And that's where you learned that certain words cease to exist anymore. Words like trust, honesty, dignity, happiness. Instead, you replace those words with helplessness and fear, no doubt anger and disgust, because I know I have, and ultimately compliance, because you don't know, You're not aware of any other option. It is how it's always been. They systematically stripped away their humanity. And by dehumanizing you, they took away your desire to fight back, because it's far easier to avoid those consequences than it is to stand up and fight back. And that's where we're at now. That is the crossroads that they found themselves at. So having this huge divide with the kingpins not having any repercussions on their behaviour and their treatment, it has been the perfect breeding ground. Perfect breeding ground for the cultivation of predators of every fucking kind. Sexual predators, financial predators, the deranged and sociopathic predators, and they've been able to do it without any fear of punishment or reprisal. In fact, the predatory nature actually evolved into a form of entertainment, as I was saying before, that, the placement of inmates in the shower for their own personal pleasures. And that gap is so huge that they financially can't fight to get out. They can't get a job. They've got a felony now. Taya, she's got a parole till 2099. The fuck? Who does that? They make up their own rules, and because they were able to access every part of the justice system, every part, the arrests, the treatment programs, referrals, child support, child protective services, attorneys, administration, home incarceration, judges, they've been able to sew it up nice, neat and tight. In fact, they've even, altered the legislation to protect themselves. Anyone outside of Kentucky, it is extremely difficult to obtain any public records documents unless you are a citizen of Kentucky. That's just one of them. Just one. But last year there was a change to the legislation under the sexual abuse that pertain to positions of power, which I will go through. I intend to make sure that these women know their rights and what the legislation says, and they can research it. I'll give them the links, and they can research it and apply it as they need. So going back to the jail and it being used as like a holding cell or a torture chamber, that was where the predators would go and pretty much choose their victims. They would be brought up to the judge's chambers in the elevator thing with one of the bailiffs or whoever. Today I'll have blah, blah, blah. Yep. Bring them up. They would also arrange female inmates to attend their houses and do their housework naked for them. They would get the inmates to do the free work program. Yeah, they go out, they clean up, make sure that the graveyards are all nice and neat and tidy, the lawn's mowed, the leaves are blown, nice and neat. Free labour. And I've got no issue with that until they put an invoice in and get charged charge the council for it, or the local council, and get paid. And that's just one example. So if you can imagine yourself in that position, you're at the bottom of the barrel, in the belly of the beast, basically. Horrendous conditions. You are psychologically drained. You feel helpless. You have no control. You speak your mind and you get tortured or punished or whatever. And that sense of helplessness is like what I believe fosters like I put it. Yeah. Oh, Jodie. Ah, there we go. All right, so I need a drink. All right, so one of the main things that I have experienced speaking to these women, it's not a matter of if they were raped. It's a matter of how many times. And it starts from a young age. 9, 10, 11, 12. And it's a lot of the time an older men, upward of 7 to 10 years at least. And heaven forbid if that young girl get pregnant. Because they're encouraged then to get married out of obligation. And so pretty much, and I know this doesn't speak for everybody, but from the people that I've spoken to, it can lead to, a lifetime of beating to remind them how you fucked up their life and to cover up statutory rape. Simple as that. Simple as that. And then that cycle begins. So these women have heard this same thing happen to their mothers. They've had it. They've experienced it themselves. They've had to suffer the heart-wrenching fucking, where your heart is ripped clean out of your fucking chest every time that you discover that your daughter has been through the same experience. And you know it. And you can guarantee it'll happen again. And at what point do you say, no, enough, stop. Because you know that stench of fucking violence and predators, and it's going to start heading down the line to your grandchildren. Guaranteed. Absolutely guaranteed. There's no consequences. Why? No consequences? Because that then gives Child Protective Services a beautiful, perfect, legitimate answer to bring more children into the foster care system, which generates more income. Every single one of them has a dollar sign on their head. Every single fucking one. They don't give a fuck if you're on drugs. They will feed you drugs. No worries. You actually comply more when you're on drugs. Really, doesn't matter if that baby's born with fetal alcohol syndrome or addicted to meth or whatever, because that's all right. Beauty. CPS will take them. We'll get some more money from them. It's systematic. It's not coincidental. It is planned. It is organized. It is orchestrated. And it is absolutely fucking done with intent. Absolute intent. Intent to beat you down so that you have either no will to fight, no energy to fight, no reason to fight, so that you comply. So that you don't say anything, so you don't speak up. And so the cycle has evolved and evolved, and it's created a community of broken souls that's come to accept that threats and violence and abuse and neglect, torture, coercion are all a normal every fucking part of your daily life. Normal. Every fucking day. And I guarantee you half of them are unaware that they're being played like puppets in a cruel fucking vicious reality that's been hand fucking crafted to bring you down in every possible way. They trample your self-worth so far down that you seek to find peace in the confines of addiction. Another part of the plan. You don't fight back when you're high. Your perception of reality is great when you're high. And don't get me wrong, I am not laying any fucking blame whatsoever, and there is no judgment either. I'm showing you how that shit evolves and how it's perpetuated and fed to them as another tool of control. And I completely understand that would be really, really fucking inviting. Really fucking inviting. The environment has been designed to basically to make that choice between using and making a choice. They've made it really easy and accessible. And you need to ask yourself why. Why? Why? It's another tool in their arsenal to manipulate you with. They can withhold it. They can use it against you. They can overdose you. They don't give a fuck about you. You're nothing more than a walking dollar sign to them, and every life has that dollar sign attached to it. You have a tag, and you become more valuable once that money from the mining dried up. You are just a simple replacement. Another income source. If you weren't part of the elite families of wealth and privilege, you just became a pawn. Manipulated to potentially generate an income at any cost. And that gap between the Kentucky elite and its citizens, as I said, has been filled with the fog of acceptance, unchallenged acceptance, obedience, normalizing victimization, and all fueled by fear. Because that jail, if that taught you nothing, it taught you fucking fear. And you come out completely dehumanized if you come out to a society that's got the perfect breeding ground for cultifying predators. They're everywhere. Fucking everywhere. And they can pretty much walk free, walk around. They're protected. Because, as I said, the system doesn't give a fuck if the child or the mother or the father or the cousin is broken any further. They'll send them to another treatment program where they can make money off it, or send them back to jail. They can make money off them. It is beyond my comprehension of how any human beings can treat another human being. I don't know how they sleep at night. No doubt on their fucking feathered down silk fucking pillow. Actually, that would probably... Oh, Jesus. Felix, get down. Got a cat on the windowsill. Yeah. All right, let me go through this. And before I shut... Get down! All right. Where am I? All right, so getting back to, as I said, the school. They get paid by the education department, but children weren't going. Their truancy levels were too high, so they weren't getting as much money. So what do? They do school. Well, shit, we better do something about that. So let's emancipate them early, shall we? Because they're worth more money then, and let's make sure that they're able to breed, yeah, at a certain age, because another head, more dollar signs. You're nothing more than a money-making asset, regardless of your compliance. And that's the only thing that changed was the changes is your level of compliance and the treatment and the punishment. So you either complied or you didn't and you suffered the consequences, or they deemed you as a threat. I'll let you work out what they did with their threats, and still do. They make sure that you're unemployable. Well, got a felony now. Sorry, can't get a job. Once you're in the system, you want to apply for rent? Good luck with that. Sorry. How do you rent something from a community that is the property is owned by these select few, like the gas stations, pharmacies, schools, hotels, you name it. They own it all. And then they instill the business in there, the business of MCHC, the business of pharmaceuticals, the business of rehabs, the business of drug court. So they own the property. They pay the rent to themselves. Handy. Nice financial incentive. Why wouldn't you? Because every rehab program, every person that's referred to those programs by a judge, by golly, and we have two here, they are court ordered to go to that. So you've got no fucking way out. That's it. Court ordered. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go. And that has a price tag. It has a government-funded allocation amount of money. Every time you get referred. And these referrals were coming, not just coming from the judge, they were coming from ARC. Who was getting kickbacks on their each referral? Michael Clark, perhaps? Now, at the time that Mickey shot Judge Mullins, he was appointed the pastor of Rooting, just ridiculously named church, but Rooting Church. And so he was getting his income as his salary for being a pastor. But that particular area it services the elite families as well, the wealthy. And so you're in those circles. And then you get paid for being the ARC manager. And there's another income. Come on, Jay. Where did I put it? So much to this that I can't recall it all. Okay, so all right, let's go back to that to Michael Clark. So he has a history, and I've seen it, of trafficking drugs, selling drugs, using drugs, and he did approximately on and off about 8 years in jail. So he has the contacts and the resources to supply the demand. Just saying. And funnily enough, before he was given the job with ARC, a magic pardon appeared magically. Cleared everything. Can't find out who did it. Have no idea who commissioned that pardon. So he was paid to run the ARC program. He was paid a commission for his referrals to the rehab facilities, and then he was getting paid as pastor of the church to the elite wealthy families. Not a bad job if you can get it. Yeah? What I don't understand is he was not the usual person that would go out with Mickey to deliver those meals to the community. And that was the last thing that Mickey did before he went back into those chambers and allegedly shot the judge. And he did it with Michael Clark. Now, as I said before on the streams, I cannot find anything anywhere on Michael Clark, not a statement, not an interview, not a deposition. They were taken, but they've been sealed. So do with that as you will. He's still active in the community as a pastor in another church, in a ministry of his own, actually. He's been given his own ministry, yeah. You know, the one that was flashing the Twinkie. Let me see. This is the amazing pastor. Is mind blown yet? Because we're not finished yet. I'm sorry, I'm not ignoring chat. I'm just focusing so that I don't get distracted because I've got to get this shit out before I forget it. Excuse me. September. Where are you? Video, September. There we go. Hello, Mr. Clark. Let's share this, shall we? Not that. That bit there. And this one. Share screen. Google, that's the one. All right, at this stage. Let's say hi to our pastor, shall we? Thank you, Bill. Yep, that's exactly what you thought it was.
It's waving at you.
It's waving at you. It's waving at you. It's waving at you. Come on. Where, Mr. Mobile?
It's waving at you.
Yeah, lovely. Yep.
22-year-old mama's boy. But your mama's not here to take care of you now, boy.
Sorry, I had to inject a bit of humour there. All right. So, yes. So he accompanies Mickey out to deliver this meal, this community meal that gets taken out the bush somewhere. And as the story goes, Mickey said that there was an attempt made on his life. Take that down now, sorry. Ooh, that's way too big. Get down, boy, down. That's better. Yeah, an attempt made on his life, basically, out there. Don't know all the details. It is actually in some of the court filings. I have read it myself, so I'm happy to say that. But you can imagine the mood he'd come back in, yeah? Just saying. He would be livid. And he pretty much waltzed straight into that courthouse and cleared everyone out, including Michael Clark. Now, if he had witnessed that and knew what a foul state Mickey was in, surely you would think that maybe, 1 and 1 makes 2 and it wasn't going to end well. But did he try and stop him? Nope. Did he try and warn the judge? Nope. He just left, walked out. Why? Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense. And then you've got the handler. The person that used to bring you upstairs from downstairs in the jail. Okay, you've been summoned. The person that used to be the school resource officer, the perfect job for identifying victims. And the other thing, once this is what I mean, they have every angle covered. So they lose their money from the Board of Education for the truancy. So what do? They feed the truancy children into the fucking court system. Problem solved. Problem fucking solved. It's my belief that the guys, I've never heard of drug court before. Like, it's rehab, it's rehabilitation. And it's just the specialties of rehab that you go to. But they have set up in Letcher County juvenile drug court and adult drug court. And the actual parameters and power that this court has is fucking just like human rights. No, ta-da, see ya. Yeah, come with me. Come with me. You just signed yourself away. So now, knowing all that, how stressed do you think Mickey would have fucking been that day to doing that deposition? Knowing that how intricate those this rot has penetrated every aspect. Oh, fuck, what do I say? Am I going to slip up? Holy shit. And that would have built up as the deposition drew near. And then he's got Daniel Dotson on his back, threatening him. And she fucking say anything. And she fucking say anything. And so he then inserted himself into the proceedings, not in a professional capacity because he was not representing either party. But he made sure he was there. I believe it was a Zoom call. So he made sure that his presence was known, that he was there, and he was listening. Because heaven forbid you fucking say anything wrong and you expose them. And not the funny thing, but what I believe has all set this in motion is the laziness, the what's the word for it? The sloppiness of one person, of one person's greed, of one person's belief they're untouchable. And that was Ben Fields. It went for him being such a fucking piece of shit, as well as a stupid piece of shit, and getting caught. Would we ever know any of this shit? Would we be at this crossroad now? Would we be at this point in time? Nope. You'd just be going about your business. Head down, bum up. In your normal life of acceptance and survival, because that's basically what they resort. Once they've beaten you down and worn you down so much, you are in survival mode. That's it. Simple. And you will do whatever it takes to survive. That's all you know. That's all you know. If you can escape it with drugs, probably makes the ride easier, the journey easier. And so that's how they cultivate this whole oppressive system of, and it is slavery, it is trafficking, it is sexual abuse, physical abuse, domestic violence. Hey, fuck. Yeah, give one for me to make her fucking comply. That'll make her toe the line a bit next time. Next time we send that text when she wants to talk to her husband in the jail. Next time she wants his commissary topped up, you know. Be a good girl, love. Come on in. It wasn't just Ben. And it wasn't just at the jail. And it goes right back to, where is he? And I know you'll all know this name. Where is it? James Wiley Craft. Ring any bells? Bert Hogg? I feel like I'm watching a Dukes of Hazzard fucking episode. You got Boss Hogg in Hazzard County. The moonshine. Oh, and then you've also got the medical system. There we go. There's the other one. You know, the old MCHC. Yeah. They own, I think, the pubs, the Whiteberg pub, both two of them, the old school. And you then have the doctors writing the scripts, allowing the flow of illicit drugs and substances to come in. You have the pharmacist who owns the monopoly filling them out. Who's going to check it? You have the gas stations pretty much dominated. And then you have the politicians and the lawmakers and the law enforcers turning a blind eye or capitalise. So if that can give you even an inkling as to the depth, the infiltration of the whole of the society out there, then double it. And you might be close. These women need our help. They need your help. They're at a crossroads now. They have a chance to really make a difference, to really impact their lives and the future generations, to break the cycle so their fucking grandchildren don't have to endure the suffering that they are and have. And you know what? Whilst they might be that select few fucking elite families with the big names and the wealth and the greed and the power, and the number of survivors, victims, far outweigh those families. Completely outnumbered. So what would happen if all of those people came together, united as one, in support of one another? Linked by that thread that you can never get away from. What if they had a chance to really, really make a fucking difference? Because that's where I think we're at now. And it starts with Sabrina Atkins. It starts and ends with Sabrina Atkins. She's fought for 5 years to get to this point. She's lost co-defendants, friends. She's been threatened, you name it. And she's still there. She's still standing. And she's still fighting. And she's done it on her own. Till now. She goes to trial on the 3rd of March, provided they don't try and bribe her with some hush money between now and then. Some pathetic, ridiculous amount of money that is just enough to dangle that carrot. But it'll be insulting, whatever, if it does happen. We'll see. So, we need to come together somehow in support of her, because supporting her supports everyone else. And the power you have as a united force is amazing. Who the hell's that? Oh. So, I don't know how to do it. I don't know, but I can provide the space to facilitate even the discussion. Because you know darn well that nothing's changing. The cycle will perpetuate, and you'll have to endure that that heart, you rip your heart out of your chest every time that you get that phone call from your daughter, whether it be sexual abuse, physical abuse, anything, neglect. You get that phone call, you know it. So, what do we do? Where are we? Oh, all right. I'm going to read this. Brandy wrote this. She actually wrote the lyrics to the song at the start as well. But this is Brandy's expressing to the community and the world how this has impacted her, and I'll just read it anyway. Okay. You can interpret it as you wish. Can you hear us now? We are the voices you scroll past, the ones that make you uncomfortable, so you turn your head and call it drama instead of truth. We're the children who learned too early that hands can harm, and that silence is safer. That telling doesn't always bring rescue; it sometimes brings ruin. We remember the smell of fear before we even knew the word for it. The way the walls closed in while the world outside kept spinning like nothing was wrong. We remember being small, so small, and then so big and powerful, so certain that we would never be believed, and you proved them right. Because when we finally spoke, when we clawed our way out of the silence with shaking hands and breaking voices, you didn't wrap us in protection. You wrapped us in doubt. You asked questions that felt like knives. What were you wearing? Why didn't you tell us sooner? Are you sure? Am I sure? We're sure of the nightmares, sure of the panic that grips our chest at night, and sure of the way our bodies remember what our minds try to bury. We're sure of the shame that was never ours to carry. But you handed it to us anyway. And now, when we try to stand and we try to reclaim our names, our voices, our right to exist without fear, you tear us down again. You dig into our past like it justifies our pain, like a mistake, a record, a broken moment somehow makes abuse acceptable. So tell us, what kind of world punishes the wounded and protects the ones who cause the wounds? What kind of community hears a child say, I was hurt, and responds with, prove it? What kind of people laugh, gossip, and point fingers while someone is drowning right in front of them? We're tired. Tired of being to be believed. Tired of defending our pain like it's on trial. Tired of carrying the weight of what was done to us and the weight of your disbelief. Do you know what it feels like to be afraid of the dark and the daylight? To feel unsafe in your own skin, to question your worth because someone stole your innocence and the world shrugged. Do you know what it feels like to speak the truth and be treated like the villain? We do. Every day. And still here we are. Still breathing. Still speaking. Still hoping that somewhere, someone will hear us. Not judge us. Not dissect us. Not silence us. But hear us. We're not your gossip. We're not your headlines. We're not your comment section debates. We're human and we're survivors. We are children who deserved protection and got betrayal instead. And we are asking, no, begging for someone to step in, for someone with power, legal or divine, to see what's happening and say enough. Enough protecting predators. Enough shaming victims. Enough pretending that this is fucking normal, because it's not. It's not. And it's not okay. And it's going to stop until someone chooses to stand with us instead of against us. So if you're listening, and I mean really fucking listening, don't just feel sorry for us. Stand up, speak out, protect the next child before they become another voice like ours. Because we're still here. And we're still hurting. Still waiting. And still asking. So if that doesn't get a fire up your ass, you need to embrace your inner Appalachian bitches. Because you're all motherfucking strong. Stronger than you know it. You wouldn't be here otherwise. Because I don't know anyone else who could endure that shit and still be fighting. So, you have a choice now. It's in your hands. I will be doing another stream that will have, and we'll be going through all of the legislation pertaining to sexual abuse, pertaining to the definitions of rape, because I don't believe that those definitions are completely understood. And so they're not seen as a wrongdoing. Just because they didn't fuck me doesn't mean that you weren't sexually assaulted. Consent will go through consent, because that it doesn't even come into play when you're incarcerated in any way, be it in jail or on an ankle monitor. It is an abuse of power, and that has controlled the entire community. That abuse of power in every way, shape and form. I've also provided a list of all of the resources within the community, but I've also provided a list of external external places that you can go to, or vet, at least suss out, have an option. There is a heap of them in the description box, but I will be doing another stream completely dedicated to explaining what your rights are, what is considered an assault, the definitions, the whole lot. Because, as I said, knowledge is power, and we need to fight the big fight and support Sabrina in any way we can. And we need to support one another. You need to come together, because united, you are a force to be reckoned with. 100%. And the light is starting to come through. It's starting to seep through. All right. Do I go on? Oh, I have to address these comments now. Sorry. Rant over. Oh, Lord. Okay. What have we got? Hey, so we have Mr. Ron. You see me? Mr. Udahef, thank you for joining us. Sorry, it's a heavy topic today, but it needed to be said, because there's things that have happened over the last 24 hours that have just reinforced resolve that this shit needs to change now. Fucking now. Yesterday. Who else have we got? Hang on. Did you have a bit of fun there? Oh, hello, Miss Tyre. Hello, Miss Brandy. Sprung. Yes, it absolutely is fucked up. Yep. 100%. 100%. Yep. How do you get around that? They own the majority of the property. They're invested in themselves. They ain't gonna let that shit go. Not without a fight. No way. Community liaison. Oh, hey, Christine. You don't have to thank me, my darling. Don't have to thank me. Actually, the way you thank me is to stay safe. That's it. You know I love you, girls. All of you. Helpless. It's like my hands are tied being over here. I feel like I'm throwing bits of paper into a fire that do nothing, but I'm going to try anyway. So, get your shit together, peoples. Oh, yeah, I may as well shove a couple of these up whilst we're some of the links that there's only some of them, all right? So, we have online reporting in Kentucky. That's the website you go to. Support resources for survivors. That's the link. They're all in the description box, so don't think you have to jot them down. Kentucky sexual violence law. Now, I actually found that there's a couple of little tidbits in there once we go through them that you'll be surprised. Yeah. The Kentucky Safe Act statutes. I can't remember what that stands for, but no. Then we've got the KASAP response to sexual violence guidelines. I think this is a 414-page fucking document that's got everything. So what else did I have? I think that's the only ones that I actually was able to link. All right. Now, if Ataya and Brandy, if you're still there and would like to jump backstage with me after the stream ends, I will send you the link. If you've got time, if you want. If not, it's fine. But I wouldn't mind having a quick chat with you about a conversation that I had this morning. So let me just copy that link. Brandy. And I'm sorry, I had to do this one on my own, my love. I had to. Or I would not have got out what I needed to get out. So, that's it. It's out there. All right. Come on, universe. Do your fucking darndest. That's all I can say. Do your fucking darndest. You've done your worst now. It's time. It's fucking time. All right? Let's do it. Let's do this shit. Stay tuned with more instructions on how. I haven't come up with that bit yet. My bad. All right. So, if you can't be good at it. Be good to your fucking mother. And hasta la vista, bitches. And I haven't got an outro set. Hang on. Here we go. Bye.